In section 8.1, we're going to look at ratios and proportions. So what's the difference between a ratio and a proportion? Well, a ratio is the relationship of two numbers, such as 1 to 2. 1 to 2 is a ratio. A ratio can be written as a fraction with a numerator and a denominator. Or it could be written 1 to 2 or 1 to 2. A proportion, on the other hand, is a ratio set equal to another ratio. We have a proportion when we have an equal sign and there's a ratio on the left and a ratio on the right. When we look at problems that involve ratios and proportions, when we have a problem that has a ratio, our job is to simplify. When we have a problem that has a proportion, when we have an equal sign, our job will be to solve. Let's look at an example. Let's say we have 1/2 plus 2/3. If we look at this problem, there is no equal sign. Since there is no equal sign, we need to simplify this ratio. 1/2 plus 2/3. We really have a ratio plus a ratio, a fraction plus a fraction. Well, in order to add fractions, we need to have a common denominator. If we look at the denominators, 2 and 3, the common denominator between 2 and 3 is 6. 2 goes into 6, and 3 goes into 6. So I'm going to look at 1/2. To go from 2 to 6, I needed to multiply by 3. So if I multiply the denominator by 3, I need to multiply the numerator by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. Notice that when I multiply the numerator and the denominator by 3, I'm really multiplying by 1. And multiplying by 1 doesn't change the value of this ratio. 1/2 is the same ratio as 3 to 6. In my second fraction, I'm going from 3 to 6. To go from 3 to 6, I need to multiply by 2, which means I need to multiply my numerator by 2 also. 2 times 2 is 4. If you notice, again, when I multiply by 2 over 2, I'm really multiplying by 1. The ratio 2 to 3 is the same, equivalent to 4 to 6. To add fractions with a common denominator, I add my numerators together and I keep my denominators the same. Think of your denominator kind of like your like term. I have 3/6 and 4/6. So I have a grand total of 3 plus 4/6. It's kind of like this denominator is like an x. If I have 3x plus 4x, I would add 3 and 4 to get 7/6. My final answer is 7/6. Notice that my answer is a fraction in lowest terms. I'm not going to write my answer as 1 and 1/6 or 1.6 repeating. I'm going to write my answer as 7/6. Let's look at a second example. 1/2 times 2/3. Again, I don't have an equal sign, so this is not a proportion. I just need to simplify. 1/2 is a fraction, it's a ratio, and 2/3 is a fraction, it's a ratio. To multiply fractions, I multiply straight across. So I'm going to multiply my numerators together. 1 times 2 over 2 times 3. So I end up with 2 over 6. Now this is a case where I do need to simplify 2/6. 2/6, 2 and 6 are both even, so I can divide both my numerator and my denominator by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Notice if I multiply my numerator by 2, or divide my numerator by 2 and divide my denominator by 2, I'm really dividing by 1. And I can take any number and divide by 1 and get the original number. 2/6 and 1/3 are equivalent, but 1/3 is my correct answer. It's a fraction in lowest terms. Lowest terms just means I don't want the answer 2/6. My answer is 1/3. Let's look at a third example. In this case, I do have an equal sign, so I really have a proportion. To solve for x, I'm going to need to cross multiply. Since I have an equal sign, my directions will be solve. Whenever I have a ratio equaling a ratio, a proportion, to solve for x, cross multiply. I'm going to drop my equal sign straight down, and I'm going to take the numerator on the left times the denominator on the right. And I'm going to set it equal to, I had an equal sign, I'm going to keep my equal sign, 3 times 9. Once I've cross multiplied, now I need to solve for x. In this case, x is being multiplied by 2. To undo being multiplied by 2, I'm going to divide by 2. This 2 and this 2 will cancel. I'm left with x equals 27 halves. I'm going to leave my answer as 27 halves. I don't want to write it as a mixed number. I don't want to write it as a decimal. I want to keep my answer as a fraction in lowest terms. And I know it's in lowest terms because the only numbers that divide 2 are 2 and 1. And 2 and 1, neither of those is a multiple of 27. The last example. I have a ratio equal to a ratio, so I have a proportion. Whenever I have a proportion, my directions will be solve. In order to solve this proportion, again, I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to take my numerator times my denominator, b plus 3 times 4. Now when I take b plus 3 times 4, I need to take this entire numerator times 4. If you look, this fraction bar is like a grouping symbol. It's grouping this entire numerator together. So when I multiply by 4, I need to put b plus 3 into parentheses. The reason I want parentheses is so I can now distribute to simplify. b times 4 is 4b. Keep my plus sign. 3 times 4. And I'm going to set that equal to 2 times b. Now after I've distributed, now I can keep solving for b. Collect all my b's on one side of my equal sign. Two b minus 2b is 0. Subtract 12. Divide by 2. My final answer is b equals a negative divided by a positive is a negative, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. So b equals -6.